Hey guys, I just want to say thanks for watching tonight. We've got a great show planned. Tonight we're going to be talking about black markets, buyer beware. And I know that some of you that may be a little bit of a clickbait, but it's not. It absolutely is not. And we're going to talk about that throughout the video tonight, why black markets, buyer beware is not clickbait, and why you should really watch this show to the end to be able to see exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone, I want to ask you if you would subscribe down below. By you subscribing, that helps our channel to bump our algorithm up within YouTube and reach more people. So please, if you would, hit that subscribe button down below. And again, thank you for subscribing and watching this video tonight. For those of you earlier today that were able to catch the Sensible Prepper live show with Don and myself from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock over on the Sensible Prepper channel, this was a topic that we talked about a little bit, and I really wanted to expand more on what we had talked about earlier today. So thank you again for checking in. Thank you again for watching. And if you didn't get a chance to watch the Sensible Prepper live show earlier today, make sure you jump over there on that channel and check out the live from earlier. Black markets, buyers beware. Let's jump into that right now. My number one point about black markets and buying stuff from black markets is the obvious. You could go to jail. No matter what type of black market or gray market you're buying from, there's the potential that you could be purchasing something that is illegal, something that is stolen, or procured through any other means of nefarious sources, and you could potentially go to jail, right? That is the number one point tonight that I wanted to make. Now, going from that, there's a lot of black markets, gray markets, and white markets out there that are overlapping one another. And you can buy things from these markets without any potential risk of having problems. Excuse me. So let's jump into that a little bit. Number two, the number one reason that you could go to jail from buying things from a black market is purchasing stolen goods or having stolen goods in your possession. If you buy something from a black market, whether you know it's stolen or not, and you get stopped by the police, they find the item that you are in possession of, and that item is found to be stolen, you could potentially go to jail for possessing that item. It's in most states, possession of stolen property is a crime, whether you bought it through a legitimate source or not. Now, with that being said, you can absolutely go back through channels as long as you have documentation and be able to say, hey, I bought this at this market from this person at this time. This is where it came from. I had no idea that this item was stolen. And, hey guys, look, I bought it at a legitimate market and had no idea. And in most cases, as long as you have the documentation, you'll be cleared of any kind of crime. But if you're buying items from a market, like a flea market, any of your markets like this that we'll call them a pop-up market, all right? And that's where people can show up, buy a table, and buy and sell things, all right? If you buy a product from there, make sure you get a receipt that has the person's name, their contact information, the name of their business, and that way if anything is ever asked of that item that you purchased, that you have a paper trail of where it came from, and you can pass that over to law enforcement to clear yourself from any type of issues. Another issue that you run into when buying items from different types of markets are questionable quality or source. Where did the product come from? Was it a product overrun? that people were able to purchase by the pallet to be able to sell themselves individually? Was it something that was illegally imported into the country that people are buying from your from a store or from a market? Is it counterfeit goods? There's lots of questions that you have to ask about the quality and the source of a product and where that product came from. Is it a legitimate product, or is the product something that is, is it a counterfeit? That's a big question now, especially with a lot of the products that we see in society now. You see all the time counterfeit pocketbooks, counterfeit watches, counterfeit blue jeans, things like that. How do you determine if that product is a legitimate product or is it a counterfeit product? Is it a great deal, or are you getting ripped off? So you really have to, anytime you're going to some of these markets, you have to know and understand what the product is that you're looking at, how to determine if the product is counterfeit or not, and then make a decision for yourself. Is the product worth buying, or is it not worth buying? Another thing to really consider when you're going to different types of markets, open markets, and buying things, are out of date or expired items. And a couple of these are like antibiotics and medications. A lot of open markets will sell prepper supplies, they'll sell medications, they'll sell antibiotics, they'll sell bandages and things like that. You really need to look at the expiration date on those products that you're buying and make sure that those products are still within date. Now, just because a product is out of date doesn't mean that it's no good. Antibiotics that are out of date just means that those products might not be quite as effective as they would have been if they were within the expiration date of the product. They're still good. And if you can pick those up at a great price, hey, I absolutely recommend it, especially for long-term prepper supplies that you're storing up. Because here's the thing, even if you buy say like an antibiotic ointment, and the antibiotic ointment is good for a year, but you're buying it for your long-term prepper supplies, that antibiotic ointment may end up expiring before you use it. It doesn't mean that it's not any good anymore. It just means that it's not quite as effective. So don't be afraid to buy antibiotic ointments and things like that because of an expiration date, especially if you're using it for prepper supplies. Just know ahead of time that it may not be quite as effective, and you may have to use it longer to be able to get the same benefit from it as you would if you were buying fresh antibiotics. The next one is a big one on my list. And this is really for if you're going to like your Jockey Lot, your flea market, your swap meets and things like that, and you're purchasing fruits and vegetables that are already grown, ready to eat. Where did those products come from? They could potentially have harmful pesticides on them. They could have listeria. They could have other bacteria, depending on the type of soil or what they were grown in. If they were grown in human feces or animal feces, which is a great fertilizer, it produces tremendous plants and tremendous plant growth because of the fertilizer from animal or human feces. The problem you run into is the bacteria from that, and that's listeria, as well as several other different bacterias that can contaminate the plant and potentially kill you. So know where the products that you're purchasing, the fruits and vegetables that you're purchasing, before you buy them, know where they came from, and that way you can have an idea of what type of soil they were grown in. If it's locally produced stuff, in your state or area where you're at, generally you don't have anything to worry about. Most people are not using feces as fertilizer or fertilizer, one of the two. Y'all figure it out. You know what I'm talking about there. But if you're at a open market and you're purchasing fruits or vegetables that could potentially have came from another country, which is very possible. We see it. We've got a local market here in South Carolina where I live that there's a lot of fruits and vegetables that are obviously imported from other countries that are not being sold in the grocery stores. Some of the fruits and vegetables are things that you can't even find in grocery stores, and some of the fruits and vegetables are things that you can find in grocery stores, but they're being sold in an open market. These items may have came from out of the United States, and they could potentially have been grown in human or animal feces, which could potentially have listeria or other bacterias attached to those plants. So be very careful when you're purchasing fruits and vegetables from an open market. Know where they come from. A lot of times you can, yeah, I'm just being honest, you can profile the people that are selling the fruits and vegetables and get an idea of where they came from. Okay. So just be aware that the stuff that you buy could potentially have bacteria on it, and it may not be something that you want to eat raw, and you may have to cook it thoroughly to kill any bacteria that's on that item before you eat it. And then pesticides is another big one. If it's something that's grown outside of the United States and it's being sold in an open air market, you have no idea what type of pesticides have been used on that plant to keep pests off of it so it would grow to maturity, right? So if it's something that's grown outside of the United States, I would be hesitant to buy it just because of the potential pesticides that could have been sprayed on that plant before you purchased it. The next big thing is vet your supplier. Are they a legitimate business? There's a lot of suppliers at open air markets, and these suppliers have a huge range from your white market suppliers, which are a legitimate business. They have a retail license, a business license, they have a website, and they're selling legitimate products, completely open to, and they're paying their taxes, they're doing everything that they're supposed to be a legitimate business. There's also a lot of people at open air markets that are not legitimate businesses. They may fall into a gray area where they're selling items that are legal to sell, but maybe they don't have a business license to be selling those items. Or it may roll over into a black market item where they're selling stuff that was illegally imported into the United States, and there's no type of documentation to support the type of plants and stuff that they're selling or whatever they're selling that prevents it from harming us, being a contaminant or a pollutant, or just a completely illegal item. So make sure you vet your suppliers at these open air markets before you purchase anything from them. Make sure they're a legitimate business and that they're selling a product that is going to be safe and healthy for you and your family. The next one is kind of a broad spectrum. It's flea markets, jockey lots, swap meets. There's a ton of different names for these open air markets. And these open air markets, like I was talking about just a minute ago, have many different types of sellers at them. There are your white market sellers, which are a completely legitimate business. There's gray market sellers, which are maybe they're legitimate, but they're selling a product that they shouldn't be selling, or they fall into kind of a gray area. And then there's your black market sellers, which are selling counterfeit goods, counterfeit items, things that are illegal or should be illegal. So, really pay attention to the people, the person, what they're selling. Ask questions about who they are before you buy things from people at open air markets, and really vet them and make sure that what you're buying is a legitimate item that's going to be good for you, that's going to be healthy for you, that's not illegal, and that's not going to harm your family. The next item is the item they're selling too good to be true? And this is a big one, and we're going to be doing a follow-up video on this from a open air market that's near us. We're going to be looking at some different products that are available at this open air market, and really kind of show you guys exactly what we're talking about. Is the item too good to be true? A lot of times you can go to an open air market and you'll walk by booth after booth after booth that's selling all different kinds of stuff. And you come to this booth that has just hundreds and hundreds of brand new. And so just for example, we'll say chainsaws. They've got steel chainsaws by the hundreds for sale. And you know these chainsaws are $800 to $1,000 a piece. And at this open air market, they're selling these brand new in the box steel chainsaws for $150 a piece for the chainsaw. Is that deal too good to be true? It probably is. Those items are more than likely stolen. All right, let's just be honest. If you're buying a steel chainsaw that costs $1,000 and you're only paying $150 for it, that item is probably not a legitimate item. That item has probably been stolen from somewhere. So be very hesitant about buying things that have a price that's too good to be true. And once again, vet the supplier. Where do you do business? Do you have a retail license? Where did you get these items? Ask questions before you buy. Make sure that you clear yourself of anything before you purchase these items, and make sure that you get a legitimate receipt from these sellers before you buy one of these items. The next one is another big one. Buying firearms, ammunition, or other regulated items at one of these open air markets. Ammunition in most states is not a big deal. California is a different story, but in most states, buying ammunition is not a big deal. You can find sellers that are selling ammunition, and if it's a good price, hey, scoop it up. But if they're selling firearms, rifles and shotguns are one thing that you can sell individual to individual without a license without a whole lot of issue. Handguns are another big deal. If you're at an open air market and someone's selling a handgun, that seller has to be a resident of the state of the open market that you're in. So we're in South Carolina here. If I go to an open market and someone is selling handguns, that person has to be a legal resident of South Carolina to be able to legally sell a handgun individual to individual in our state. Otherwise, it's considered interstate transportation or interstate commerce of firearms, which is a federal offense. Okay. So if they're not from your state, if they're from, say, North Carolina, and they're in South Carolina selling a handgun, that is illegal for them to do that without a license and legally transferring that handgun to you. So be very careful and ask questions before you buy a firearm from someone at an open air market. Check the serial number, the make, the model, the caliber, the serial number. Check all of those things on that firearm and make sure that they're intact, that those numbers are where they're supposed to be, that they haven't been ground off, that they haven't been ground off and replaced with other numbers. Okay. That's a big telltale sign that is potentially a stolen firearm. So look at the serial number, make sure the serial number is on the firearm. If you're not sure, Google the firearm. Where is the serial number located on this particular make and model of firearm? And then check it, make sure the serial number is there. Make sure the seller is a resident of the state, especially if it's a handgun. Make sure they're a resident of the state that they're selling the handgun in before you purchase it. This is just to help you prevent you from getting into any type of trouble down the road. And one of the biggest things for me, anytime you're at an open air market purchasing things, negotiate the price. All right. If it's an open air market seller, the price that they have on an item is not the selling price. It's the starting price. Okay. Make sure that you negotiate the selling price. If you see an item, and we'll just call it a hand drill, okay? Manual hand drill, antique, and they're asking $50 for it. Offer them $25 and negotiate from there. All right. Don't pay the retail price that they're asking for that item. Always, 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 always negotiate the price. Get the best possible price that you can to make your dollar go further at any open air market that you go to. The best advice that I can give you guys tonight. I love going to open air markets. It's one of my favorite things in the entire world to do. You can find tremendous deals on things. You can find things there that you can't find in any retail store across the country, right? But when you go to an open air market, whether it's in the United States or any other country, the price that they ask for that item is their starting price, right? You set your own starting price to negotiate the final price for that product. Make sure you do that. Don't get taken advantage of at an open air market in the United States or a foreign country, okay? Make sure that you know the value of the product that you're bidding on or that you're negotiating for, and always negotiate low. Don't just walk in there and they say that, oh, okay, they want $50 for that drill, pay them $50 and walk off. Okay. Negotiate the price. Get the best possible price that you can and make your dollar go as far as it can possibly go at any open air market. I enjoy that. The negotiating part of going to an open air market is part of the fun of it for me. And I truly enjoy negotiating prices at open air markets. My wife, I get the perpetual eye roll from her. You know, she's like, oh, here he goes again, you know, but I enjoy that. That's fun for me, negotiating the price on an item. And she appreciates what I do because it helps to stretch our dollar further. So make sure that you negotiate the price of any item when you go to an open air market. One of the big things you want to do when you go to an open air market is have a goal. All right. Are you looking for a great price? Are you looking for a great product? Are you looking for a great deal? All right. Have a specific goal when you go to an open air market. Don't just go there to browse around, walk around for a couple of hours looking at things. Go there with a goal. Right. Maybe the first time you go, you just go to browse and look and see what's there. But my goal anytime I go to an open air market is I'll have a specific purpose for going there. I'm looking for 5 different items, right? And I have a list of items that I'm looking for when I go to an open air market. And I'll walk through the open air market and I'll look for those specific items that are on my list. And a lot of times, if I don't see those specific items that are on my list, I leave without purchasing anything, and that's okay. The good thing about an open air market is every time you go, there's going to be different things there. There's going to be different suppliers there, and there's going to be different products there. So if you don't see what you're looking for the first time you go back again the next week. You know, one of our local open air markets that I go to a lot is only open once a week. And I'm going tomorrow, and I'm going to be shooting some video while I'm there to show you guys what I'm talking about with a lot of these things. But make sure when you go to the open air market that you have a purpose for going there. Your purpose can be just to scope it out and see what's available and give you some ideas maybe. But make a list before you go and buy. That way you can do your research, know the value of the product, and know how much to negotiate the price for. Next item on the list is look for specific items. Are you looking for medical gear? Are you looking for animals for food? Are you looking for plants? Are you looking for tools? Are you looking for prepping supplies? Are you looking for home goods? Whatever. All of this you can find at an open air market. And know when you go to an open air market that like I was talking about before, have a purpose when you go, have a plan. It's easy to say as a guy, you know, when I go to the grocery store, I have a very specific list of things that I'm going to buy. I go in and it's boom, 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 boom. I check those items off my list. I put them in my cart. I go to the register. I check out. I leave. A lot of people, when they go to the grocery store, they walk in and they're hungry when they go to the grocery store, and they go down the bread aisle and they get bread, and they go down the snack aisle and they're like raking snacks into the buggy. And you know, you spend a lot of money that you don't necessarily need to spend. Okay. If you go with a purpose, whether it's a grocery store or an open air market, when you have a purpose, you bring home the things that you need and not the things that you want. And that's a big thing, especially at open air markets. Always try and buy things that you need. If you see something at an open air market that you want, weigh it heavily compared to your wants and your needs. And only buy the want if you can get an exceptional price on it, if you can negotiate an exceptional price. Otherwise, only buy the things that you need. All right. Make a list. Know before you go what you're going to buy. And this is one of those things I was just talking about. When I go to the grocery store, I know item for item what I'm going to buy. I'm not going to the potato chip aisle and getting 6 different kinds of potato chips. I'm not going to the junk food aisle and getting 5 different kinds of candy bars. I'm going into the grocery store and I'm looking for a very, very specific item or items. And that's all that I'm buying. That's all that I'm spending money on. And your open air market is the same thing. Be very intentional and be very specific about what you're looking for and what you're buying. And only consider something else if it is a exceptional value. And then once you find something that is an exceptional value, make sure you vet the person that you're buying from and get a hard copy receipt with their name or the name of their business, their contact information, and everything about them, where that product came from, in case anything ever comes back down the road and that product was stolen or illegal. You can hand that over to the police and say, look, I had no idea. This is where it came from. I bought it at this open air market. Don't impulse buy. This is one of the biggest things that I see people make a mistake with. And this is, once again, whether you're at the grocery store, clothing store, open air market, doesn't matter. You're walking around and you see something and you're like, oh, I've always wanted one of those. And that's a great price. You grab it and you impulse buy it. You either overpay for it, or maybe it's counterfeit or whatever. Don't impulse buy anything. If you see something that you're like, oh, that's cool, I want that, get the person's contact information so you can reach out to them down the road and make sure that it is a good buy. But don't just buy it right there on the spot. The only exception to impulse buying that I can say is if you find gold or silver at one of these markets, that is a great buy. All right. I met a woman at one of these open markets a couple of years ago, and she was selling a bunch of silver coins. And she wanted face value for the silver coins plus a few dollars. And I bought a bunch of silver coins from her at face value plus just a few dollars. And she was not a vendor there. She was actually talking to one of the vendors at the open air market about buying her silver. And I offered her more money than what the open air market was offering her for her silver, and she sold it to me. But it was a good deal, and I knew it was a good deal. I always try and buy silver and put silver back. as well as gold. But if you can find a good deal on silver at an open air market, don't be afraid to buy it. If you're buying from a seller, make sure you vet them and that you get a receipt. If you're buying from an individual, once again, even this lady that I bought the stuff from, I got her name, I got her address, I got her telephone number, so I could contact her in the future if there was any question about the silver that I bought from her. Another thing is consider selling items that you don't use for cash or to use for barter items. We talked about this earlier today on our Sensible Prepper episode with Such and I. If you've got a storage building that you're paying a monthly fee on the storage building and it's just packed full of crap that you haven't looked at or used in 1, 3, 5, 10 years, whatever. Though that is material and that is items that you are not using. Take those items to an open air market and sell those items and turn that into cash and use it or barter with it, but turn it into something that you can actually use in your everyday life, right? One of the biggest problems we have as Americans is we have too much stuff, right? There's just our houses are full of crap. We've got storage buildings full of crap. Liquidate some of the stuff. Make your life simpler. Simplify your life. Get rid of a lot of the visual noise that we have going on in our lives. Move that stuff around and liquidate it. Turn it into cash. Turn that cash or barter items into things that we can actually use in our everyday lives. One big thing is antiques. Antiques are something that are usually not black market items at any of your open air markets in the United States. Outside of the United States, completely different story. But inside the United States, most of your antiques are legitimate antiques, especially manual hand tools and things. I'm a big proponent of buying antique tools. Antique tools are generally very good. They're very reliable and hold their value. They're useful as a tool now. And if we have issues down the road, whether it's economic collapse, SHTF, EMP, whatever, manual hand tools always have a place in our lives. So I'm a big fan of buying antique tools and stocking up on antique tools, both to use as well as to sell and use as barter items in the future. So I'm sharing this with you now. It's probably going to hurt me long term because it's going to drive up the price of really good antique tools. But hey, that's what I'm here for, is to help you guys as well as myself. So stock up on antique tools. Antique tools are always something that will retain their value and be useful in the future. Next big thing, plants and animals are a good buy, as well as fruits and vegetable plants at markets. All right. Plants and animals. If you're buying plants, if you're buying animals for your homestead as a prepper, to be able to grow a small garden, to be able to have a few animals, be it rabbits or chickens, those are two of the most popular. Chickens are great for eggs as well as for meat. Rabbits, I think, are even better for meat because they, especially if you get the right variety, they grow very fast, they reproduce quickly, and you can get a lot of meat from rabbits. But don't be afraid to buy those at an open air market and bring them home and add those to your animals. If you're buying chickens or if you're buying rabbits, normally what I do if I buy those at an open air market, I bring them home and I quarantine them from my regular animals that I have in my pens. I quarantine them for 2 or 3 weeks to make sure they don't have any kind of disease or bacterial infection, viral infection, or anything like that that could spread to the rest of my animals. So keep them quarantined for a couple of weeks before you introduce them to your rotation of animals. Same thing with plants. If you buy plants at an open air market, separate and quarantine those plants from your other plants for a couple of weeks. That way, if there's any kind of blight or bacteria or anything that's on those plants, you don't cross-contaminate that with your other plants that you're growing, that you're currently eating. And look at plants very closely before you buy them. Make sure there's no kind of spots on the leaves or the stalks. If there's fruit on the plants, make sure the fruit looks really healthy, that it doesn't have any kind of blight or anything on it. And really look at those plants very well before you buy them. Same way with animals. Really look over an animal very well before you buy it. If you're looking at chickens or rabbits, know and understand some of the signs and symptoms of different types of illnesses that chickens or rabbits can have before you buy chickens and rabbits from an open air market. And if you do decide to purchase them, segregate those animals from your current animals that you own for a couple of weeks to make sure they don't have any type of symptoms before you integrate those animals in with your current animals that you have. Chickens. A couple of different things to look at with chickens. Are you looking at chickens for as fryer, where you're going to harvest that chicken for meat, or are you looking at that chicken as a laying hen? All right, something that's going to provide you with eggs and nutrients. Me personally, the majority of the chickens that I buy, I'm looking at chickens as layers. I want the eggs from a chicken. I want a chicken that's going to produce the most eggs from the youngest age possible for the longest period of time possible. And, you know, one of the big questions a lot of people have are, what type of chicken is the best chicken to buy if I'm looking for a laying chicken? Leghorns and Rhode Island Reds are two great ones. They produce eggs for 5 to 8 years before their egg production starts dropping off. But the best chicken to look at for egg laying is the Plymouth Rock. The Plymouth Rock chicken will lay eggs consistently for 10 plus years before their egg production starts dropping off. Leghorns and Rhode Island Reds can produce more eggs, and sometimes they can produce larger eggs, but their long-term production is a few years shorter than what you're going to get with a Plymouth Rock. The Plymouth Rock may not produce quite as many eggs. They may not produce quite as large an egg, but they produce eggs for a longer period of time. So if you're not replenishing your layers, your laying hens every few years, and you've got, so you buy 5 chickens and you're looking at these 5 chickens to be your egg producers for the longest period of time, the Plymouth Rocks are going to give you the longest laying potential of any of the hens that are out there. If you're looking for bigger eggs or more eggs over a shorter period of time, and you're planning on breeding and reproducing chickens, having dibbies and raising more chickens, maybe the Leghorns or the Rhode Island Reds are a better option for you. But if you're limiting your chicken stock, the number of chickens that you have, the number of hens you have that are laying, the Plymouth Rocks are going to give you the most production over the longest period of time. Next, let's talk about rabbits. Rabbits are something that we have raised and harvested for decades. Since I was a teenager, I've raised and harvested rabbits. And the number one rabbit that I've used for the last 30 plus years has been the Flemish Giant. Flemish Giants are huge rabbits. From conception to birth to harvesting that animal and using it for a protein source, Flemish Giants, you can harvest those and turn them into a protein source in about 4 months from date of birth to putting it on the table. 3 to 4 months, those animals are ready to eat. They're huge rabbits. They're very easy rabbits to raise, very mild-tempered, easy to deal with. They reproduce quickly. But Flemish Giants are, if you're looking at getting into rabbits, do a little research on those. That is the #1 rabbit that I recommend. Outstanding, outstanding meat production, great taste, and just an amazing animal. Let's jump over to some of the questions and comments. Guys, if you haven't dropped a question or comment in tonight, please make sure you pop in, let us know where you're from. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. It helps us to reach more viewers because it bumps up our algorithm within YouTube. But hey, if you got any questions or comments, make sure you drop them in over here in the comment section. We're going to go through those for the next few minutes. Michael Alvin says, hello, everyone. Citispell says, Semper Fi, brother. Hello, Devil Dog. Good to have you on board. Chris Matthews says, hello, everyone. Hey, Robbie. Dwayne Booth from Anderson County. Dwayne, good to have you on tonight. Hulk09 says, new subscriber over from the Sensible Prepper, and Such, happy to be here. Semper Fi. Hey, Devil Dog, good to have you on board as well. Citispell says, good evening, everyone. JCCC, is Sarah Mack doing the questions? JC, no, Sarah Mack is not doing the questions. I am a solo operation tonight. I'm doing everything myself. So reading the questions, the comments, and the commentary as well. So it's just me tonight. Sorry to disappoint that Sarah Mack's not here, but maybe we can get her over one evening to do the questions as well. John G says, hi, Robbie. Michelle and I are watching over dinner. Thank you for the great content as always. John, good to have you and Michelle on. Thank y'all for watching, bud. I'll see y'all in a couple of weeks at the gathering. And for those of you that don't know about the gathering is a event that Palmetto State Armory is putting on at the Clinton House Plantation. And that's not the Clinton's plantation. It's the Clinton House Plantation in South Carolina. And it's a great opportunity to get together with manufacturers, with content producers like myself, Such 00, Sensible Prepper, and a bunch of other YouTube guys and girls. You can put your hands on a lot of different firearms. You can shoot a lot of different firearms and ammunition, accessories, and things that are out there, and really try it before you buy it. It's a great, great event that Palmetto State Armory puts on, and that's going to be March 22nd and 23rd at the Clinton House Plantation. Check into that. If you're able to make it, I'd love to be able to meet up with you there. John G says, at JCCC, he's not even having Beth moderating. John, you're right. I don't have Beth moderating for me tonight. Sometimes she gets on here and does some moderation for me and asks the questions and everything, but she is out working in our garden this evening. We've got a huge garden that we're doing this year, and we're documenting every bit of our gardening on our YouTube channel from seed to harvest. And so she's out in the garden right now doing some stuff out there, some planting and some of our winter sowing crops that we did, and then some of our indoor plants that we started. She's out putting some of that in the garden and doing a little bit of weeding this evening, so she wasn't able to be here with us. JCCC says he needs somebody. This is obviously a rough crowd. You know what? I'm a thick-skinned boy, you know, from my time in the Marine Corps, corporate America. I tell everybody all the time, I've got one feeling left, and that feeling is only reserved for my wife, so nobody else can have that feeling. But I promise you won't hurt it. You know, I'm just here for you guys. But thanks for watching. Jim Griner says, Coastal Georgia here, another good topic tonight. Jim, thanks for being here, bud. I appreciate it. JCCC says, what kind of stuff does he rifle off? I don't really rifle anything, guys. That is something that maybe we do in the future, but right now I don't do any kind of rifling. But hey, thanks for watching, bud. Chris Matthews from Saluda County. Hope everyone is having a great week so far. Chris, thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Devil Dog Prepper says, hello, chat, and Semper Fi, Robbie. Semper Fi, Devil Dog. Glad to have you on tonight. User Bree and Car Dude, late but here. Hey, glad to have you here, bud. I'm a huge car guy, big into racing. For those of you that don't know, my youngest son races go-karts, and he has his own channel. If you're big into racing, check out Sam Wheaton Racing. We've got a lot of racing videos and stuff over there. But, you know, another part of my life that is maybe not that I don't showcase as much on my my YouTube channel, but my youngest son is big into go-kart racing and does very well with that. So if you get a chance, check out his channel, check out some of his racing stuff. Chris Matthews says, I used to do pastured pork farm to table. Just because it's USDA organic doesn't mean there weren't chemicals involved. You're spot on, Robbie. Got to do your research. Yes, absolutely. Any meats or any fruits or vegetables that you buy, make sure you do your research on the meats, fruits, and vegetables, where it's coming from and what's been put into it. One of the big things we were talking about earlier, if you go to the grocery store and buy your meats, look at the label on the meat before you purchase it. A lot of times there is an ingredients list on the meats that you're purchasing, and it's not just meat that's in there. There are preservatives that is in there. There's this pink slime that they've been talking about for months on the news that's in your meat. Excuse me. I highly recommend any meats that you buy, you purchase those meats from a local meat market, or even better, from a local processor. That way you can get your meats and know exactly what's in it. We try and buy our meats either as whole chickens, whole cow, or whole pork. A lot of places you can buy a half a cow or a half a pig for your deep freezer. And then you know exactly where your meat's coming from. Our beef supplier that we use, they grow their own beef on their farm. They process their own beef on their farm, and it is literally farm to table. We can get grass finished or grain finished beef from our beef processor, and I know everything that animal has ever had put in its mouth before I purchase it. So really do your research and really question the meats that you buy at your local grocery store, because a lot of times what you're purchasing may not be exactly what you think it is, especially if you're buying from one of the big box stores. Mr. and Mrs. J says, what's up, Rob? Mr. and Mrs. J, glad to have you on tonight. Follow up with them. What's up, fellow from California, my fellow preppers? Mr. and Mrs. J, him and his wife are stuck in California, and hey, glad to have you guys on tonight. And I feel for you with everything y'all have to put up with out there in that state, and I hope to see some changes in California over the next few years. Said, I see my phone is deciding what I'm trying to type again. Whatever, you know what I meant. Yes, we all know what you meant. Glad to have you on tonight, you and your wife both. Larry Cap says, I'm late, but I'm here. Larry, good to have you on tonight. X-Man, hello, just got in here. X-Man, good to have you on tonight. Mr. Boone from North Georgia says, late to the show, been at the grandkids' house. Hey, bud, I understand. Family first, always. I'm glad to have you here. Robert Picard Jr., Rob here from Raleigh, North Carolina. I appreciate what you're doing. Rob, thanks for watching tonight, bud. I really appreciate you being on. Jamie Bell says, howdy. And Mr. Boone says, I love watching Sam's racing videos. Guys, if you haven't had a chance to check them out, Sam Wheaton Racing, make sure you pop over there, check out his racing channel, and hit a subscribe button on it. We try and put content on there pretty regularly. We've got some stuff from the last couple of weeks that we're uploading and putting over there in the next few days. But if you're into racing, it's great content. And yeah, Sam is a great kid. He just turned 15. He's 6'1" and 200 pounds. He's just a big little kid like me, and just loves life. But if you get a chance, check out his channel. Guys, that is my list for tonight. Thank you all for the awesome comments, and thank you all for watching. I really appreciate everyone being here. Once again, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, it helps to bump us up in the algorithm with YouTube and helps us to reach more viewers. We've got our YouTube live every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Make sure you set a reminder And we'll always have the link up ahead of time, so you can click on that. Guys, thank you all for being on tonight. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and we'll see you